Chapter 17. 1 week had passed since the nightmare at the compound, and the storm that battered the house tonight felt almost symbolic, as if nature itself was echoing the chaos that still haunted Claire's mind. Freezing rain pelted the roof, and distant thunder rattled the windows with enough force to make Don Roberto's tail puff up whenever lightning flashed. Autumn was resting in her wheelchair by the living room window, gazing out at the heavy downpour of warm rain as it washed the wet snow away. Claire watched her, reflecting on how strange it was that life had returned, in part, to a form of routine. They hadn't spoken much about the Watchers or her father's gruesome demise. Instead, they clung to the quiet of survival, letting days slide into an uneasy calm. Things needed to be done, and life couldn't be put on hold. If she didn't get things done, they wouldn't happen. Her cell phone buzzed for the 10th time that night, and she felt her shoulders tense. Kyle's name glowed on the screen, the message short and blunt. Kyle, 8:12 p.m. Look, I love you, but I need to put my foot down, Claire. We need to talk. She turned the phone face down with a grimace. Over the past few days, Kyle had bombarded her with pleas and demands. He wanted to pick up the pieces of their lives and mold them into a shape that suited him. Of course, he had never asked what she wanted. Not once in their 2-year relationship had this grown man showed any real interest in the wishes, hopes, or dreams of the woman he claimed to love. She sighed and walked over to Autumn, kneeling to meet her friend's eyes. Autumn was looking attentively as she signed. This boy is still going? Claire nodded and shrugged. He says he wants a talk, and it's never just a talk. He wants me to... She paused, feeling secondhand embarrassment and shame. Autumn pursed her lips, the faintest hint of sadness in her expression. She typed, It's okay if you want that. Claire shook her head. No. He wants me to do whatever he wants, always. Kyle doesn't get it. He thinks... She trailed off again, then forced a smile off. Anyway, let me see if I can ignore him for now. Are you hungry? A faint grin flashed across Autumn's face as she signed, Eggs, toast. While Claire rummaged in the kitchen, the phone buzzed again. The noise cut through the steady pound of rain, making her stomach tighten. She tried to block it out, focusing on cracking eggs into a pan, but her nerves buzzed just as fiercely. After a moment, she set the spatula down, grabbed the phone, and read Kyle's newest text. Kyle, 8:15 p.m. You're being insane. Can you please just respond? I'm trying to be supportive, but you never listen. Let's have a conversation. Come move in with me. You don't have to keep caring for her. We can have a normal life. We can have kids. Raise them together. Please hear me out. Another flash of lightning illuminated the kitchen, and Don Roberto darted under the table, unsettled by the storm. She marched back to Autumn, who watched her with a concerned tilt of the head. Claire read the text out loud, voice trembling with fury and something else. He wants me to move in, Claire said, forcing steadiness into her tone. He thinks I can just stop caring for you, live in his house, have kids, and be some stay-at-home mom. Autumn's brow furrowed. She typed, He thinks you want that? Claire let out a humorless laugh. He's convinced it's what's best for me, and that's the only way I'll ever be happy. He says he loves me. Her eyes stung. You know, I have dreams too. Sometimes I think maybe I will go back to school when money isn't so tight. Or I'd pick up the guitar more seriously. Maybe we could make music together. Hell, we could hit the open road and open mics and just live a life of music and travel. Autumn grabbed her speech device and typed, You're not just a caregiver. You have your own life. I want you to have your dreams. I don't want to hold you back. Claire scooted closer and grabbed Autumn's hands. I'm not giving you up, okay? You're not an obstacle. Even if Kyle doesn't get it, I do. You deserve the chance to live your own dreams, too. You listen to me. You hear me. You're rad as hell. A flicker of vulnerability crossed Autumn's features. She typed, I never believed I'd make it this far. I always thought I would die young. Never do anything worth remembering. I'm scared to plan the future. Feels impossible. She squeezed Autumn's hands firmly. We can try. Nothing about this life is easy, but we can still have a future that's ours. We can go places, see things, be happy. Autumn's eyes glistened, and a trembling smile tugged her mouth, and she nodded her head, then rested it against Claire's shoulder. Outside, the thunder rumbled again, louder than before. The gale of wind shook the house, and the cell phone buzzed once more. She set her jaw and ignored it for now, starting to guide Autumn to the kitchen table, but Autumn was able to get there herself. The storm worsened, rain slanting sideways against the windows. A short power flicker made the lights sputter, casting quick shadows that made Don Roberto hiss. By the time they finished a sparse meal, the phone had gone off no fewer than 5 more times. She took a steadying breath, glancing at the screen. Most texts were variation on the same theme. You aren't answering me. I know what's best for us. Stop being stubborn. I love you. I want you to come to me. You need to see reason. Claire shoved the phone aside, cursing under her breath. He doesn't get it, she muttered. He's so sure he knows what I need. Autumn typed. He wants to own you, not love you. Claire sighed. Maybe. Or maybe he's just misguided. Either way, I'm not giving in. A crash of thunder startled them both, followed by the loud whistle of wind. Claire looked at Autumn apologetically. Let me close the windows. The storm's going to get worse before it calms. She hurried around, yanking down old window sashes. Another burst of lightning lit the living room in a flickering strobe, turning every piece of furniture into a jagged silhouette. Just then, her phone rang, not buzzed. The shrill tones sliced through the howling wind. She ignored it, letting it ring unanswered. Lightning flared again, and the overhead light flickered off, then back on. The house felt charged with energy. Minutes passed in uneasy quiet, punctuated by bursts of thunder. Autumn drifted into a half-doze on the couch, seeming calm. Claire sat near her, gently tucking a blanket around Autumn's legs. She got herself yawning, feeling the storm's ominous hum in every fiber of her body. She rubbed her eyes, mumbling that she needed to check the back window in case it leaked. I'll be right back, she said softly. Autumn nodded, eyes half closed, and Claire slipped into the hallway. Thunder rumbled again, shaking the window panes. Alone in the living room, Autumn remained in her wheelchair by the darkened window. The storm raged with renewed force, wind rattling loose panes and thunder rolling like a distant cannon fire. Another flash of lightning illuminated the yard, revealing a single crow perched on the dripping fence post, its beak parted in a silent caw. The hush came then, pressing in around Autumn's ears, not as overwhelming as before, but heavy enough to send prickles across her scalp. It was the same hush that often preceded a watcher's approach. A shape flickered in the hallway behind her, impossible to see in the gloom, but Autumn felt it. In the faint reflection on the window's glass, she glimpsed a dark, spidery form overlapping her own silhouette. Her pulse sped up. She shook her head side to side, anger flaring in her chest. She fumbled for her speech device, but the battery was dead. The hush grew denser, seeming to suck away all background noise, even the thunder. Autumn's breath trembled. She remembered the scrawled margins of the Arcana Hermetica, the half-legible instructions for repelling watchers. Something about gestures, words in an archaic script. She had spent hours studying that book in private, too timid to admit how deeply she had gone into it. In a quick, purposeful movement, Autumn pressed one palm against her sternum and raised the other hand to trace a sigil in the air. It was shaky, her hands still weak, but she formed the shape she had memorized. Her lips moved in silence, mouthing snatches of a phrase. Dominus, devourers, non serviam demiurge. The hush strained like a rope pulled taut. Autumn's heartbeat pounded in her ears. Her entire body felt warm, a tingling flush that just for a second drowned out her usual pain. She inhaled, surprised at how easily her lungs expanded, how little her bones ached. A low groan rippled through the air near the hallway, as though something huge and angry was shoved backward. In the window reflection, that spidery outline buckled and skittered away, melting into the darkness. Autumn's eyes burned with tears of both relief and astonishment. For the first time in ages, her legs felt like they might actually respond. Her stomach knotted with anticipation. She braced trembling arms on the side table, pushed, and hoisted herself upright. Only a couple of seconds passed before her knees threatened to buckle, but she was standing without help. She let out a disbelieving exhale, a rush of adrenaline carrying her just long enough to grasp that this was really happening. The Watchers were gone, at least for now, and some surge of inner strength had ignited her body. Just as quickly, the pain returned, seizing her muscles. Autumn grimaced, sliding back into her wheelchair with a soft thump. Her chest heaved, and the hush around her subsided to a mere echo. The Watchers had been driven off by her small ritual, but she knew they might return, hungrier than before. Still, she had done it. She had taken back a scrap of power without anyone's help. A shaky laugh spilled from her lips, and she closed her eyes against the storm-lit window. A wave of deep exhaustion hit her, but it was worth it. Footsteps sounded in the hallway, and a moment later, her friend peered into the living room. "Everything okay?" she asked, noticing Autumn's flushed cheeks. Autumn nodded, wiping her eyes. She typed a quick line on the device once it powered back on. "Just the storm. I'm fine." Claire studied her face with mild concern, but nodded. "The back window's shut tight," she said. She draped another blanket across Autumn's lap. "I was worried I heard you call me, but maybe it was the wind?" Autumn shrugged with a small, secret smile and typed, "Yes, just wind." Claire breathed a sigh of relief and sank back onto the couch with her hand resting on top of her friend's hand. The house was quiet compared to the storm outside. Autumn let her gaze drift to the window, sensing that the Watchers had retreated. She had won something tonight, and the knowledge glowed in her chest. They stayed like that for a while, neither speaking, each lost in thought as the storm raged on. Eventually, Claire rose to check on the windows one last time, trying to ignore the relentless buzz of her phone. Thunder boomed so fiercely that Don Roberto dove behind a chair, mewling.